From complaints over food that's too spicy to asking what channel the Oilers game is on, Edmonton 911 operators have answered some odd and inappropriate calls for its emergency line. It's an issue for operators whose time is now being tied up to answer other emergency calls. Nahreman Issa has more on EPS's reminder to not abuse the 911 system.
911, do you need police, fire, or ambulance?
According to the Edmonton Police Service, more than 1,000 calls are made to 911 each day.
And our 911 call takers will evaluate those calls and decide if they need to go to police, fire, ambulance, or if it's not an emergency call.
2024 was a busy year for operators for both emergency and non-emergency lines.
We received over 1 million calls, and just over half of those were through 911. So our call volume is very significant for the size of the city that we're in.
Kay Anderson with the Emergency Communications Branch says most of the calls were appropriate.
Maybe it's a collision or a shooting or something very serious that the police need to respond to, or a fire emergency or a medical emergency.
Some calls, though, are not an urgent matter.
911, police, fire, or ambulance.
I just don't have internet, and I've been trying for an hour to get through the internet. Is that an emergency?
No, sir, that is not an emergency.
Anderson says operators hear all sorts of non-emergency issues.
Power outages is a very common one that people will call 911 instead of EPCOR for a power outage, or internet outage, my TV's not working. We did get a couple of funny calls this year, for example, asking what channel the Oilers game was on.
Some other calls 911 operators took last year included the spicy pizza they ordered was too spicy. Krispy Kreme wouldn't give them free donuts. Someone saw a mouse in their living room, and a child wanting help with their math homework.
So we get a kind of a chuckle out of those calls, and we will redirect them to the appropriate resource or just listen to them if we need to.
EPS doesn't want to discourage people from calling 911. However,
it's important for people to remember that every one of those inappropriate 911 calls is taking time away from what could be a real emergency.
EPS's non-emergency line is 780-423-4567. On your cell, you can dial #377. Nahreman Issa, CTV News, Edmonton.